Alright, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of Slice and Dice. And here, I kind of wanted to make this more of like a podcast type feel to this whole episode. Is kind of just like this idea that, you know, we're going to... Are you really going to call me a nerd again?
What? Me? I'm just...
No, draw it. Write it.
Okay.
Write it. Okay. Anyways, I wanted to make this feel a little bit more like kind of like this podcast kind of feel, where it's kind of like me sitting here, my buddy Tyson sitting here, and us kind of just like laughing along, talking about D&D, kind of just having a good time, and both of us just kind of giving our input on like little things that have happened, either in my stories, his stories, or like stories that include both of us.
Which is most of them.
Which, yeah, true.
Except this one.
Can you tell he's hurt by it?
I'm a little butthurt.
He's a lot of butthurt.
Well, Bryce, it's just, the invitation in the first place would have been nice.
Oh my god.
Most people just like to feel invited.
Okay,
even if they can't go.
Okay,
even if they're going to be like, oh,
let me get through my intro.
I can't make it.
Let me get through my intro.
Okay.
Anyways, so this is the first episode in Slice and Dice, so if you guys are tuning in to watch us, thank you. Means a lot to us, as this is kind of the very first try at talking about some of our own Dungeons and Dragons experiences. And I've kind of thought about doing this in the past too, where like I go through and like I've thought about talking about like my stories that I've had, or like campaigns that I've DM'd or campaigns that I've played in. And but finally kind of like what pushed me over the edge to like start this was watching some of, you know, those creators like, you know, Puffin Forest or like T the Writer, or lately there was the one that actually kind of like pushed me over the edge into actually like watching this, or like actually deciding to like get into this and like try to come up with our own little version, was a creator by the name of Whistle While You Work.
And again, shout out to Whistle While You Work for getting me roped into Bryce's little scheme. It's great.
He's happy. He loves it.
I'm so happy.
He is happy.
I'm just the faceless cynic in the background.
He is, but he's the cynic that's like smiling on the inside. You know, he's like that, like the clown with just like the frown on his face, but the smiley face painted on. You know,
I'm pretty sure they're actually all really deeply unhappy that they have to be a clown.
That they, no, nobody goes into being a clown not wanting to be a clown.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just boozers and drunks that just have.
That's so mean.
If there are any clowns listening, I apologize.
Anyway, I apologize to the 3 clowns that may watch this. I like how I'm like 3. There will be 3, but
there has to be 3.
So the basically the kind of like the idea or concept here is that, you know, I'm gonna sit here, or we're both gonna sit here. We're gonna kind of like talk about the story. We're gonna talk about what's going on. And if, you know, I'm included or he's included, or we're kind of just going to play off of each other and kind of give our own little like takes and opinions and just kind of like joke around while we're watching. And then our artist Tyson over here is going to do his best to depict some illustrations from the games that we talk about.
Yep, I'm going to be putting Bryce's thoughts onto my screen.
Exactly. He can actually read my thoughts. Oh shit, I wasn't supposed to tell him that, was I? Shh.
It's okay.
I mean, he's just really good.
You have a dirty mind. Dirty mind.
So basically, what I'm going to talk about today is one of my earlier games that I've ever played in like the beginning of my like D&D career. Before I was actually DMing, this is a game that I played in as a player, and it's actually a time that I caused my own horror story. I ruined the game for everybody else.
Yeah, no, you made it the horror story for them. They should be talking about this about you.
True. But anyways, so I'm gonna give it a try today, and I'm gonna go through and like give a rendition of kind of like how this happened, and kind of like what went down and how I ruined my game. And so basically the first thing I kind of want to talk about is how it started. And basically my friend who I worked with at the time, we worked kind of like in this department together at a local store. And at this store, he kind of came up to me one day, and when he came up to me, he was like, hey man, he's like, I was looking online and I found this really cool system. It's for a tabletop role-playing game, and it's called, I believe, Aftermath. And Aftermath, it seemed to be like this kind of like system for like this post-apocalyptic type setting. So the cool part about it is that he was just like, yeah, he's like, I think I have this really cool idea, and we're all gonna like play as like versions of like yourself. So like we're gonna pretend that it's like you playing, sort of. And I was like, okay, like I kind of get it. Like that sounds pretty cool. And I was like, well, how much does it cost? You know, because you know some different books cost like different amounts of money to like get started. And he's like, well, the player handbook only costs about like $20. And so I was like, you know what? Sounds good. I'll pitch in $10, and then we can like get to playing. And he was like, all right, cool. So I gave him $10. He came back like a few days later, and he was just like, all right, I've got it all set up. I've got the first session written out. This is the day we play. So he invites over a few of his friends to play in this game, and we're playing at his house at the time, so that's mostly the reason why Tyson wasn't invited, even though he's butthurt about it.
Mostly.
Was because,
what are the other reasons, huh?
Well, no, I'm just saying that, like, you know, you can't always just invite your friends over to somebody else's house.
Yes, you can.
So, yes, you can. I mean, I guess I could have just showed up with you, and then they would have just, like, had to awkwardly deal with it.
Awkwardly deal with me? That's not something that's ever... That's not something that's ever happened, okay?
It could be.
Never have I had an awkward encounter.
He has too high of an opinion about himself, if you can't tell.
I resent that.
I resent... Of course you would.
You're rude.
You're rude.
What am I
anyhow, we get to playing in our very first session. And when or I guess before the session happens, he tells everybody, "Hey, listen. What's going to happen is anything you guys show up with IRL, I'm going to rule in."
That's in real life for the
yes, they know what it is.
In case you don't, that's in real life.
Goodness.
As in, not this podcast. Okay.
Not this. So he said anything you show up with in real life, he lets you take with you, like in the game, like
sweet sideburns.
Sweet sideburns. Yeah. So like most of us like just barely showed up with anything. Like a couple of us showed up with like just little things, like maybe a bottle of water, or like a knife or something like that. But one kid like went all out, and he showed up with like an entire like survival pack full of stuff. Like he showed up with like a flare gun, like a couple pistols, or like a couple knives. I can't remember everything that he had, but like hunting knife. Like,
oh, me either.
This, because you weren't there.
Huh.
Either way, this kid just showed up super prepared. So we're like, all right, well, he's definitely going to share with us when we start playing. So we get into this like setting where we're just like, we are playing D&D. Like that is where we start this setting, is us playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons. And how it kind of worked was on the television screen when we were sitting down to all play D&D, this kind of like purge like message just came on the television screen, where it was just like this announcement that just was broadcasted over everything, that was just like, we are, the rulers of the world, we're gonna take over the world, blah blah blah. None of us really paid attention to the message,
which again that sort of mentality is gonna get the whole human race just wiped out. We're gonna die.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, people like you.
People like me. I'm what's wrong with this world.
You are single-handedly going to ruin everything.
Basically, none of our characters really paid attention to it. But after that message came on the TV, we kind of ruled in that, like, one of the player whose house we were supposedly at during the game, that he worked for the military. And so we ruled in just, like, that, he had the secret bunker underneath his house.
Yes, because we all have those.
Yes, yeah, just these magical... He could have been a doomsday prepper. We don't know his life.
I guess not. But don't you want to know the people that you're going to go play D&D with?
True. But
maniacally.
Yeah, true. So we pretended that he like had this bunker underneath his house, and that's kind of how this setting started. And so this like AI came on over this like interface in his house, and it was like, you have like a minute to get down to your bunker or you are all gonna die. And so we were all like, oh no, like we need to run. And there was a chance that we could have like ran around the house and tried to like grab like items and things like that to like take with us. But he was like, if you don't make it, there's a chance that you die. Like you're gonna have to roll a D100. We'll see if like you become like a mutant or mutated. And we're like, oh shoot. So none of us decided to go that route. We all were just like, nah, we're gonna live. So we all ran to the bunker, and then we were just, boom, cryogenically frozen.
Yes, I would have made the same choice had I been there.
Would you?
No. Mutations?
No.
What?
What? He's like, nah, I'd take that. D100 roll? Those are good odds.
Take my odds.
Those are good odds.
I've beaten worse odds before. I'll do it again.
So we decide to run down to the bunker. We get cryogenically frozen. We are unfrozen about 100 years later. Well, after that happened, we like make our way up from the bunker like to the outside of his house. So we're like all in his backyard, and we hear some people moving around inside his house. But things look a lot more like apocalyptic. You know, like the world doesn't seem like quite as like nice. You know, things seem a bit more polluted. Things seem more overgrown.
Yeah, we're talking like I Am Legend apocalypse, not Fallout apocalypse.
Yeah, not Fallout apocalypse. I love the slimy effect that you're going with here. Like,
Thanks for noticing.
You're welcome.
Thanks for inviting me to that D&D session. Wait a minute. I have nothing to thank you for.
Okay. Still salty. Okay, I see. But we decide to come up with a game plan, right? We decide to come up with a game plan, how to get into the house and what to do. So all of us were like, all right, we're going to have the person who owned the house, he's going to try to go in through the back door, and he's going to try to talk to everybody here. And he's going to see if he can reason with the people that are in this house now. The rest of us decided to like go around to the different entrances and see like if we could like sneak in or like what we could do to help out without drawing too much attention to ourselves. So he walks in, and immediately there's kind of this like, the DM goes with like this really bad accent. And the accent is like this kind of like, it's kind of like, I'm really trying to put my finger on how it sounded, but it kind of just bad. It was like, like, who the hell are you? That kind of.
Was it deliberately bad, or was it just?
No. It was like he couldn't quite do the accent, so he was kind of purposefully not great.
What are you doing in my
It was like, who the hell are you? Kind of like that.
Yeah, this is my house.
Yeah, and so that was kind of the vibe you get from it when it happened. And he knew it was bad, but he was like, you know what? I'm rolling with it. This is what we got. And so we were all like, okay, I love it.
You do what you can with what you have.
So these guys were like these drug dealers of this era, but they didn't really have any
drugs. They had no drugs.
No, they were like these pills that like gave them like these enhancements, but like also they had like super bad drawbacks. But in this apocalyptic version, like guns were actually pretty rare, and they were kind of hard to come by. Some people had them, but these people did not. They were just kind of like smaller time, like they weren't like the big guys. And so we kind of confront them, and they kind of like look at the guy who owns the house, or used to own the house 100 years ago, and they go, "Who the hell are you? What are you doing here?" And
get out of my home.
Get out of my home. I own this place.
Leave my abode.
Yeah. So no, he just tries to go like, whoa guys, it's okay, like it's fine, we're good here, we're good. And they don't really know what to do with him at first, and they're like, you know what, easier idea, let's just kill him. So the rest of us hear that,
I would have done the same thing.
And we're just like, ooh, we should probably act. And so I go around to like the front door, and I knock on the front door. And they're like, we thought you said you were alone. And so then they run to the front door, or one of them runs to the front door. He opens the door, he sees me, and he's like, okay, what do you do? And I was like, I don't know. And so then they were like, okay, well, you freeze then. And I was
suck.
And I was like, oh shoot. And so then they went on to like the other players and what they were doing. And so I was like, oh crap. Like that was the first time a DM had ever done that to me, where they were just like, oh, you hesitated. And I was like, no, okay, well, that's fair, I guess. So we went around to all of the other players' turns, and when it got back around to me, like, this fight had escalated between everybody, and so the character ran out, and I was like, all right, so I'm going to throw a knife up in the air to distract the guy, and then I tackled him to the ground and grappled him to the floor. You know, he tried taking a couple swings at me, he tried breaking free. I ended up, like, kneeing him in the groin, and then holding one of my remaining knives to the guy's neck.
Yes.
And so I kind of intimidated him enough to just stay in place and not move or do anything else.
Big scary Bryce.
Look at me. Look at me.
Yeah, look at this nerd.
Look at me.
He's the one on the right.
He's the one on the right.
Look at this nerd over here.
Yeah.
He even says it on his shirt. That's a shirt he owns in real life.
That is not a shirt I own in real life.
Yes, it is.
No,
He's a big nerd. He advertises it everywhere he goes.
You're right.
Yeah.
You caught me.
It was never a question.
It was never a question. So we deal with these people. They all end up dying, and we kind of like take the house back. At this point where we take the house back, we decide from here on that we're going to come up with a plan of action. And so we knew that not super far away from this player's house that we were at, there used to be a store. And so we were like, okay, well, in this setting, we can try to see if that store is still there, and maybe it's like some sort of compound now, and maybe we can see if somebody's there who can help us. It was kind of just like a generic plan of action. And so that's kind of like how our session sort of ended. And we were like, yeah, that works. And so that was kind of where we ended, was we were just kind of on our way to this store. Now, fast forward to next session, I actually can't make it. I have some like problems going on at home, just like some family stuff, and I actually like tell them like, hey guys, like there's some serious stuff going on at home and I actually can't make this game. And so they weren't sure if I was going to come back or not, but they were like, listen, you know, if you come back, you're welcome to. But the player who I worked with also told me, or the DM who I also worked with told me, he's like, yeah, listen, I'm going to do something to your character. If you show up, that's fine. If you don't show up, that's also cool. So I was like, okay. So I didn't show up for session 2, and during session 2, they actually added a new player, and we'll just call this player Bob.
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 I am Bob.
And Bob, because he joined after the fact, he technically, to be alive in this scenario, he had to have been a mutant. So in this setting, he actually was a half like humanoid mutant frog man.
Yes.
Which is actually what our good old pal Tyson here is depicting.
Yeah, I'm doing it. He's just so handsome.
He's so handsome.
Smash
I don't think any mutant is very handsome, you know? I mean, I guess
Please, I would be the first.
I would be the first. You can tell he has a very high opinion of himself.
Again, I resent that.
Again, I resent that. I'm sure you do.
Whatever.
So he joins during the session where I'm gone. And the entire session where I'm gone and he's there, he just has one of those sessions where you roll phenomenally well, right? He has those sessions where you like show up and just everything goes right for you. You just roll all of the things you need to when you want them. You roll like your natural 20s. You just like come in clutch for the whole party. Like he was having one of those nights on like his first session, on his like debut. And so everyone in the party was like, wow, this guy's so crazy, he's so useful, like you gotta meet him. And so like when I came back like on the third session, my character was finally introduced to him, and so I while I was found, my character ended up being like, I think it was like the Tacoma Dome at the time or something like that, right? Where it was just like a murder dome of sorts.
The murder dome.
Monday.
Be the first to catch the blood. Whatever. Leave me alone.
Well, we're not here for words. We're here for murder. So people like show up to this like murder dome to like watch these like mutants fight. And so they captured me,
yes,
and I was supposed to fight this mutant, and this mutant ended up being one of my other friends who was playing at the time. And he was like this mutant with this like really small arm and then this like really buff arm, kind of like Tryndamere from like League of Legends, or you made a comparison to Morty from the Murder.
You know, an episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah, and so basically, we kind of get into this fight, you know, and then like this other fight breaks out, and all of my friends see me, and they like jump into the arena and they help us out, and we get out of this fight, and I meet this new character, Bob, and me just kind of like for fun, because like, you know, kind of like that sort of camaraderie that you can have with like your friends sometimes, where it's like,
No.
Don't just say no.
No.
Don't just say
absolutely not.
no. It's kind of like that thing where it's like, you know, like you roll badly, or, you know, like you have to roll a fate check, and then you roll really bad and your whole party has to deal with it, and then you're like, wow, you know, like how could you roll a natural one, or
Oh,
you know,
God, I am so sorry.
it was kind of just like that idea of just like giving someone crap. And in my like in like what I would say now is that, you know, thinking back on it is like I probably shouldn't have like joked with this kid like that, with the fact of like, oh, he's rolling bad, I should give him crap for it, because I didn't really know this kid Bob very well IRL. So I think that was kind of like my first mistake, is I should have like kind of like built up more of like a friendship there before I did anything like that. And so I will take like full responsibility for like that being like my fault.
Way too sensitive.
Way too sensitive. No, it was definitely my fault. And
This is why we don't bully for fun, kids.
true.
Don't ever. It's bad.
And so like, you know, and like in our group now with our friends, like we all do it to each other, we all joke with each other like that.
Yes, because we're friends, Bryce.
But granted, I think I should have like not done it to this kid. And so like we were all joking around, and I was giving him crap for rolling bad, and he was laughing, the rest of the party was laughing. It seemed like he was okay with it, and it seemed like everybody was just kind of like laughing and having a good time. So I thought, that's fine, everything's okay, like we're all good.
It's fine,
And-
fine, you're fine, everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. It's just like, it's like that picture of the little dog who's sitting there and the whole room around
This
him is
is
just like
fine.
on fire. He's like, I'm fine. So we
Gaily slimy man.
we end up like during this like next session where Bob is there, we end up having to do this like mission where we have to like go to like this port, and there's like one of these big like cargo freighters there, and we have to like find this like giant monster that's on this cargo freighter and destroy it or something like that. And we end up like going through this whole mission, and we end up like destroying the monster in the end with like, I think it was like this big giant gun. We had like the friend with the big muscly arm like make a check to like hold the gun in the air, and then one of us like fired the gun off. So it was like, it ended up being like a pretty cool session for the most part. But like I said, I was still joking around with the player, because you know, everybody like to my character was like, oh, he's so good, he rolled so well, he's so useful. And then the whole session that I showed up, he was rolling really bad. And so I think the fact that he was rolling kind of poorly, mixed with the fact that I was kind of ragging on him,
And a jerk.
true, he got upset. And so finally, like at the very end, I think one of like this character that he was trying to save ended up dying. And when that character died, I was like, wow, I was like, you can't even save that character. And so then he got really mad, and he was just like, he like blew up on me, and he stood up, and he just like immediately like got super confrontational, and he was like, you need to stop talking. And I was just like, instantly I realized like, oh, I've made this guy upset. Like, that's not what my plan was. I wasn't trying to upset him. And so I was instantly like in apologize mode. What are you writing? Don't write my name. Oh, are you writing my name? Okay. Well, all right.
There it is.
There it is.
I heart Bryce.
I still feel bad, and I wanted to just immediately say like, hey man, I'm sorry. My goal was not to upset you. If it did upset you, I'm sorry. It's, you know, like, it's completely the way that you feel, and if I made you feel upset, then like that's my bad. That's on me. And I think that it kind of ends up boiling down to this like thing where he kind of just got mad, he exploded. I kind of really couldn't apologize because he got so mad, and I tried to talk, and the moment I said, hey man, boom, just instantly he just yelled at me, told me to stop talking, and I was just like, okay. He just stood up, and then he walked away. I mean, props to him also for like I guess kind of like taking the situation in stride and not getting like super confrontational about it. Like, obviously it was upsetting him, and obviously why are you writing that?
What?
Obviously he took it well, because he was just trying to like play it off. You know, he was trying to just like get through it. He was trying like not to be confrontational. But if at any time he just told me like, hey man, this is actually upsetting me, I would have just been like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm not trying to upset you. Like, we're all friends here. And So he ended up getting really, really upset. He ended up walking away. And so, like, if obviously any of my friends see this, or if, you know, he ends up watching this video ever, you know, I do want him to know that I am sorry, and I do apologize for upsetting him. And
Well, this is just what I picture when I hear the story. So I mean,
fair.
full accountability rests on me. If you're offended by this picture, try
Truthfully-
about it, I guess, because that's
Okay.
what. Okay.
Truthfully, I think the picture's kind of cool, though, to be honest. Like, I mean, it does look like a super dope frog mutant person, but, but I do,
Jeez,
but,
thanks, Bryce.
oh, jeez. Oh, now you say thanks.
Whatever.
Whatever.
This is the first time you said anything nice to me.
That's not even true.
Over here saying,
You could tell he has a very high opinion of himself.
As he sits there and calls me a nerd. I mean, it's true.
yeah,
but
look at you.
Yeah, look at
Everyone take a moment to appreciate this caricature of Bryce on the right. This is super accurate. This is actually like based on a photograph. He was totally not just sitting next to me. When I did it.
Anyhow, basically, I'm, you know, like that was kind of the story, right? So that's basically how it happened. That's basically the story of the time that I caused a horror story, that I ruined my own D&D campaign.
Yeah, you derailed it and just made everyone feel bad and bullied this kid.
After that point, we kind of stopped playing. That group kind of like stopped meeting a little bit, and we just like didn't really. We kind of just like let the whole situation cool off, and so. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to play anymore. I have played some with these people since.
Oh,
I haven't-
really?
Yes.
Okay. This is the first time hearing about it.
Just in small sessions, and they've never been in actual campaigns, really. Stop being butthurt,
It's
okay?
fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
He's
It's fine.
upset as I run 2 campaigns now where he's in them.
And the star.
Yeah,
We can't forget.
But-
At least one of them I'm the star of. The other one, I'm a very good supporting
anyways, we stopped meeting, you know, and like rightly so, you know, I kind of ruined the game, and so that's just kind of like how it ends and how it happens, and you know, so here on this kind of like episodic adventure that we're gonna, you know, have. I do want to tell some more stories, some more like little one-off stories, some more that Tyson actually is a little bit more involved with, and then eventually.
What he means to say is things that I actually care about.
True. But we will eventually get into some stories of the actual campaign that I'm currently running with a few different groups, and I'm really excited to get to that and see how you guys like it. But for now, you know, if you guys enjoyed the video, please give us a like. You know, we'd really appreciate the support and the just kind of the exposure.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
And stuff. Please. We need support.
We're just a couple of old whippersnappers giving this our try.
The good old-fashioned try.
Yeah.
I don't try, Bryce. I simply do.
Yeah, but you know, please like and subscribe, and anyways,
If for no other reason, then just leave like a comment on how nerdy Bryce looks. At the very least. I'd love to hear it.
I'd love to.
Or read it. Sorry.
He'll read it. Just make fun of me. That's all I'm here for, really. I'm
really all I need to feel fulfilled from this.
yeah, true. All right, guys. That'll be it for us here. But please check us out. Subscribe to, you know, again, get any new content that we put out. Thanks, guys, for watching.